This is the Man in a Room podcast.
Can you imagine that moment when somebody was sitting in a bath and was all like, this is really nice, the water's all warm, I'm having a lovely time. Do you want to make this better? Bubbly water. Imagine that. The jacuzzi was born. Hello and welcome to this episode of Man in a Room. It's Friday the 13th. Ooh. I don't believe in all that kind of stuff, so it doesn't really make any difference to me. I mentioned earlier in the week that I've not been very well, and I feel a lot better than I did, which is a relief, because I did feel really genuinely quite awful. I am feeling better, but I actually got tested, and I feel obliged that I should actually share with you the results. I got Vanellope von Schweetz on What Disney Princess Are You? I know, I'm just as surprised as you. I didn't think she was a princess. But do you know what? I do like her as a character, I can't lie. She's on Wreck-It Ralph 2, and I really enjoyed Wreck-It Ralph, actually, as a franchise. Wreck-It Ralph 1 was like, that's actually quite good, I quite like that. I like all the references to the old computer games, I'm like, oh, isn't this fun? And then I've also then got Wreck-It Ralph 2, which is all about the internet and stuff like that, which is like, wow, this is actually really cool. Even if it is a bit farcical, but it's just nice to see the little references and all the little memes and stuff like that. I was like, yay, we've made it to the big screen. It's like when years ago when they announced the Facebook movie, and it's like, well, how are they going to make a movie about Facebook? You can see like someone's updates or something like that. Do you know what I mean? How's that going to work? Like, the entire story is told through like Facebook photographs, but no, that's not how it works. It's actually the story of Facebook, which obviously makes a lot more sense. Anyway, I digress. Actually, it does bring me on quite nicely to something, because you get like, on this day so many years ago, they would like show you a photograph or something like that. I got one of those come up, and it really made me chuckle because it has two memories attached to it, and I just wanted to share it with you, really. Basically, for some reason, many years ago, I popped some lipstick on and like a fancy dress, wedding dress, and had my photograph taken. And, nothing wrong with that. Just hijinks, as it were. Nothing really out of the ordinary. And I put it onto Facebook, and it ruffled a few feathers. I don't understand why that was to this day. But, people got upset about it. And, it's just a bit weird, that, It's like, it's only me wearing a wedding dress. And I thought, is it because it's the making fun of the sanctimony of marriage? I don't know. I don't really care about that kind of thing. And so I thought, a bit weird, isn't it? But the other reason I remembered this is because of another story. And that is when... Alright, okay, so basically, long story short, I was walking around a supermarket who will go unnamed, okay, because I don't want to get in trouble. And basically, they started selling computer games. You can actually exchange them. So you'd bring them in, they'd give you some money, like the game exchange shops you can go to. And so basically they sell them second hand or first hand. And the second hand was more expensive than the first hand. So, well, that doesn't make any sense. So really, in theory, I could buy their first hand copy, sell it back to them, and I'd get more money back for what I paid for it. Doesn't make any sense. Not whatsoever. And they're considerably down on the deal. But, so it was quite funny. Unless that's, do you know what? Conspiracy. Maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe the second-hand copies were actually first-hand copies that they were just selling just a bit more expensively. Don't know. But anyway, I saw this, and I was like, this is a bit weird, isn't it? So I took a photograph of it, just nonchalantly, took a picture, click, on my phone, that's it. And I thought, I'll show my friend that later on, because they won't believe me if I told them. And anyway, it reminded me to tell them. And didn't really think much of it. And then, as I was leaving, the security guard was like, can I stop you there? I went, yeah. I said, yes, no problem. He said, I saw you upstairs taking photographs of so-and-so. Can I ask why you were doing that? And I explained that you were selling second-hand more expensive than first-hand, and I thought it was quite amusing, and I just wanted to share it with my friend. Can I ask you to delete that photograph, please, sir? And I was like, what? You want me to delete this photograph? And he went, yeah. Because you could have been taking photographs of people in the store. And I went, well, I wasn't. I took one photograph, and I went, here it is, look. And he goes, can I ask you to delete that, please? So I deleted it, right? Not thinking anything of it. because I thought, oh, whatever, it's not really that funny. This story, if you pulling me over, is much more interesting than this computer game, you know, because all this sort of thing, because I've read 1984 so many times, because it's a really fascinating book, and I recommend everyone should read it, and it's about a dystopian future that everyone sort of was like, oh, that's terrible, oh, isn't that horrible? But our world is actually turning into this, and obviously the most famous example from the book is the constant surveillance. And I was surveilled, taking a photograph, and the thought police, or whatever you want to call them, they basically was like, you have to delete that because you can't find that funny. And, it's just like, what is going on? So I deleted the photograph. So my newest photograph was that. My second newest photograph, when I was deleting this photograph, was, you've guessed it, me in the wedding dress. I was like, okay, there's that now, and there he is. There's me trying to look all angry and hard. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about your rules. Whatever, man. And then there's a picture of me in a wedding dress. I was like, well, this is now embarrassing, isn't it? So I just put my phone away and hope that he didn't mention it. I just sort of just stomped off into the ether because I was like, oh, this is just embarrassing now. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick break because I want one. And I'll be back after that.
If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please do not hesitate to send them to show@maninaroom.co.uk.
And I'm back again. How's it going? Right, now, before I start this part, I need to just warn you all that this is going to get a little bit macabre. So if you don't like macabre stuff, maybe tune out. You've got a few seconds now before I say what I'm going to say, because, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm not that sort of person. In fact, there's two reasons that, two things that might offend you. One is the macabre stuff, and also, secondly, after the macabre stuff, I'm going to go like podcaster mode and be all like, all professional. Well, as professional as I can be anyway. So you've got a few seconds now to tune out, so you don't have to hear both of those things. Okay, you're still here, perfect. If you're not, well, you can't hear me saying this. So I'm going to talk to you today about death. Specifically, a death in my mind, you see, because I'm one of those people that looks online when they watch TV. I've got a very inquisitive mind. I Google all kinds of information. I mean, if I'm watching a movie, I'll be like, okay, so I'm watching Jumanji. I'll look up the trivia. I'll see how it did in the box office. And all this. I'm one of those weird people. I just like information. I'm one of those people that are very good at pub quizzes. I'm a very good pub quizzer. And also at quiz shows. Because of this inquisitive nature that I've got. And Google doesn't really help. Well, it does help, but it doesn't help. It's like crack, you see. I want to get on with my day, but I need this information, so I can't help but have a look and see what this information is about. Anyway, so the other day, there was footage of Mick Jagger in Hyde Park reading out a eulogy for Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones. Apparently he was one of the original founding members. I don't know much about the Rolling Stones, I can't lie. In fact, I know very little about them. And all I do know about Brian Jones is that he died whilst the Rolling Stones are at their peak, almost. So I thought, look up for some information about him, really, because it's just intriguing, because it's not often that a celebrity dies at the peak of their fame, almost, And so I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to get up for you now, just so I'm definitely correct, because I want to get Wikipedia, at least Wikipedia correct anyway. So at the time of his death, Brian Jones actually wasn't part of the Rolling Stones. Apparently he'd been let go for whatever reason. But obviously they paid tribute to him in Hyde Park, which is a very famous clip of him literally telling everyone to shut up because they want to get through it and all this kind of stuff. But it's just very interesting, you see, because, most celebrities, when they get, at least the Beatles, they got cremated because they didn't want people sort of, trying to dig them up and all that kind of stuff, And so Brian Jones's burial surprised me because he was buried. I was like, that's a bit weird, isn't it? So I'm going to read it out verbatim, or verbatim, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Jones was reportedly buried 10 feet, that's 3 meters, deep in Cheltenham Cemetery to prevent exhumation by trophy hunters. Now that's actually, I understand that completely, because there's that famous story of Charlie Chaplin, when he passed away, someone actually snatched his body. He was body snatched and held hostage. And like, oh, this is Charlie Chaplin's body. If you don't give him back, we won't give him, we won't give him back unless you give us some money and all that. What kind of person does that? Especially to Charlie Chaplin, But anybody really, not just Charlie Chaplin. Anyone who does that is a bit nuts. So anyway, It carries on. His body was embalmed and hair bleached white and was placed in an airtight metal casket. That's the bit that intrigued me. Very, very interesting, because it's like, I don't quite understand that at all. I mean, is it the eccentricities of like the 1960s Rolling Stones thing? I don't know. I'm assuming he didn't know he was going to die, so someone decided at some point that it'd be a great idea to bleach his hair white, even though his hair wasn't white. It was either brown or blonde, I don't know. I don't know much about the Rolling Stones. He looks like he had brown hair. But someone decided to just bleach his hair white, because apparently when they were going to have his body viewed by his family, they want him to look like that, which is a bit weird. You know, I mean, I don't really want to go too much into details about that kind of thing. I mean, I don't want to sort of disrespect his memory or anything like that. But it just struck me as a bit odd. Like, you don't really hear that very often, do you? And apparently they're going to take press photos of him for some reason, which is even more macabre, if you know what I mean. Why would you want a picture of a dead celebrity with bleached white hair? I mean, is it to make him look like he's an angel or something like that? I don't know. But being buried under the ground 10 feet, completely understandable, and all that kind of stuff. And apparently Mick Jagger didn't even attend because he was filming Ned Kelly. They stated that their contracts, because his girlfriend, Marianne Faithfull, they were supposed to go to the funeral, obviously, but they didn't because their contract would not allow them to delay because they were making a film. Only in the 1960s would that happen, you know. But it's a bit strange, really. I mean, I don't understand all that kind of stuff. I mean, you hear all different bits and pieces about celebrities dying, and you know that's a lot more detail than you'd usually get. I mean, any time a celebrity dies now, it's just it's weird, isn't it? Especially when they're at the height of their fame. It doesn't happen very often, luckily, but when it does, it literally it gets you square in the eyes. I'll never forget David Bowie dying, actually, because he just came back from, well, basically he was on hiatus for many years, and then he released an album. It was really good, and then he released another album like a year or so later, and it was excellent. It was like proper good old fashioned David Bowie. 3 days later, he was dead. It's like, blimey, wasn't expecting that. He's made a massive, great comeback, and now he's not here anymore. It's insane. And apparently, before the news was even hit, he'd already been cremated and flown out somewhere, and all this kind of stuff, I believe. Quite straightforward, sort of like Buddhist funeral, really. Fun fact, David Bowie was probably a Buddhist, but we don't really know because he never confirmed it either way, even though there's many hints and clues throughout his career. But there we go. Although these days, it's very easy to get hoaxed when it comes to a celebrity death because of Twitter. Twitter is a great way of finding out news, but it's also a great way of finding out non-news and unnews, as it were. If you see a celebrity trending, you've got to ask yourself a couple of questions. Right, are they trending because they're dead? Are they trending because they're a wrong 'un? Or are they trending because people are asking why they are trending? That happens quite a lot, especially to beloved celebrities in the UK. If David Attenborough ever trends, you have to question, is it because he's dead? Because that happens quite a lot. People say, oh no, please don't say David Attenborough. Or usually the tweet usually goes, I saw David Attenborough trending and I worried. Can someone please check that he's okay? And all that kind of stuff, you know? And it gets a bit frustrating, you see, because you just have to wade through all the nonsense, all the weird stuff that, you know, you have to go through to just make sure you find out the news. Is it a hoax? You know? Anyway, cracking on, because this is getting a little bit too dark, let's talk about all the stuff I hate doing all this, sort of the proper housekeeping of podcasting, but I have to do it. So basically, if you aren't subscribed to this, please do, because, right, I've got a listener. I've got an actual listener. There's a listener who listens to this. Hello, listener. How's it going? I'm very happy that you're here to join me every time. Hello. And, you know, if people are listening to this, you know, you should subscribe, you know, so it's pretty good. So if you are the first listener, let me know who you are. Just send me a tweet. You can Instagram me. You can send me a message on Facebook. You can try the email address, but it doesn't really work. You know, it'd be quite good, you see. And also, if you are listening to this, I should say, and you aren't subscribed, why aren't you subscribed to this? There's many ways of doing this. There's iTunes where you can rate and review me. Ugh. You can listen to me on Spotify. You can also listen to me on Google Podcasts and other podcasting apps. And all this. I hate doing this stuff. I really hate it. I genuinely do. But I will say this. I will plug this because I'm actually very proud of this. My Patreon account If you go to patreon.com/maninaroom, you get all kinds of exclusive material. Ooh, you get to hear me take the which Disney princess are you test, which is exciting. It's actually not that funny, but it's there for completists if you want to listen to that. I also intend on maybe doing more stuff on there at some point, but you always get the episodes first. You literally get them hot off the press. Like I haven't uploaded them to the actual podcasting place to host them, so you get early access, you get behind the scenes photographs and all that kind of stuff, and like bonus podcasts. And I'll be uploading the archive as well on there at some point, just in case of finding the time to do that. And should be a lot of fun. So anyway, I'm waffling on now, and you know what? I'll be honest, this episode has been a bit difficult. I've been ill, and my brain's been all over the place, so I'm sorry this is a poor episode. I thought I'd get all the awful, crappy stuff out of the way now, rather than sort of, doing it later on down the line. Get the bad episodes out early whilst there's only one listener, Sorry, mate. Anyway, I've been waffling on now for way too long. I need to go. I will speak to you next Tuesday, and I will see you next week. So enjoy the rest of your day and your week and your month and your year. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. I won't.
Who is the man? Where is the room? It's some guy you've never heard of, in a room you've never been in. For more information, head over to maninaroom.co.uk.